Hey friends, how are you? Hope you're well and you had a good week. Mine's been not bad. I don't know what I've done this week. Gosh, I can't remember. That shows how exciting it's been. Have I been out at all this week? I honestly can't remember. Don't think so. I think I've been in most of the week, but that's fine. I've managed to get quite a bit done this week on various things. My reading has been really good this week. I'm really chuffed with how much I've managed to do. I had the house to myself one day during the week, and I just spent it doing things like writing book reviews. And I actually really enjoyed it because I actually spent time listening to an audiobook, and I got the audiobook finished in the day, which was brilliant. I really enjoyed that. I've done more work on my cardigan. I finished the back and I'm working on the front panel. And the interesting thing is the first front panel is joined to the back. You just kind of sew continually on. So I think I've only got 20 rows to do on that, which hopefully I will get done over the weekend. I don't see any reason why I shouldn't. But yeah, reading wise has been very good. I finished 2 audiobooks, 2 physical books. I am 75% of the way through one Kindle book and part of the way through a physical. But let's talk about the audiobooks first. The first book that I finished was The Whisper in the Wind by Rachael Bloome. This is book 6 in the Poppy Creek series, and I love this series. I just absolutely adore this series. So we meet Lucy. Now, Lucy is the sister of, oh gosh, I've got to get this right, Jack, who runs the diner, plus he now has an inn that he runs with his partner. I think it's Kath. I'm pretty sure it's Kath. And they have, Lucy's been helping them sort of, shall we say, set the inn up by doing some interior design work for them. But she also has her own YouTube channel. And Jack asks her if she will start doing videos around the town and advertise the inn for all the town's autumn festivities. And she's like, yeah, sure, no problem. She's kind of, Lucy's been job hopping and she now wants to sort of settle down in one place and have one job that will just keep her there. And she really likes Poppy Creek and she really feels that she could settle there. The fly in the ointment the fly in the ointment is Vic. Vic is a friend of Jack's, an ex-Marine, who is just there to help Jack out and then just plans to leave as soon as possible. But Jack asks him to help Lucy with all the videoing, etc. So this is their story and how, as they work together with the videos, etc., she learns that really Jack is not as gruff as he thinks she is. And he learns that Lucy is really not just an airhead, but they're both like fighting their attraction because Lucy has got some health issues that she's having to deal with and that she's at the moment not telling anybody about. So she's got all of this going on as well, and there's been things in Jack's past, in Vic's past, that to do with health, etc. So there's all of this going on, which I really enjoyed. It was just a really nice slow burn romance, which was beautiful. But the great thing about Poppy Creek is you also get to go back and visit with other characters that you've met before, so you have continuation of storylines, and I really enjoyed that. I think Poppy Creek is a great series. It's really well written. The characters are just so believable. The town just sounds so quaint. I get kind of Gilmore Girls vibes from it. It is just sort of that kind of town. I just really enjoy it. So if you've not read the Poppy Creek series, I would seriously give it a go. The first book is called The Claus and Christmas. And that sort of sets it all up. But you will just fall in love with these characters. They're just so good. The second book I read was The House on the Harbour by Elizabeth Bromke. This was my first by heart, and it will not be my last. I really enjoyed it. We meet the Hannigan sisters, and we meet them at the wake for their mum's funeral. And they are all really nice, very different sisters. There's Kate, Amelia, Clara, and the fourth one's gone from me. Hold on, I shall look and find out. The fourth sister is Megan. It was buzzing around my head, but I eventually remembered. So Clara is the one that has stayed in their hometown, and she's the one that has helped their mother while she was ill, etc. The other three have sort of moved away, but that's by the by. They then go to the following day. They go to the lawyers and for the reading of the will, and that's where the secrets of the family are possibly about to start, because the will is not what they expected. They expected, right, okay, split everything 4 ways and off we go. We can go on with our separate lives. But their mother didn't do that. And the story is really of the sisters reconnecting with each other, with their hometown, learning things about their past and their mother's past. It was really well written. I really enjoyed it. I liked seeing the growth of the characters. I liked seeing the bonds develop really strongly between all four sisters. And the town sounds really lovely as well. We didn't get a lot about the town. We got a few snippets from other characters or other people in the town, but not much. But it's kind of, the book has been left on a slight cliffhanger in that there's something, they need to go and discover more things about their family. So I'm definitely going to be reading the second book. I just thoroughly enjoyed this book so far, and I definitely want to continue with the series. So the two books, physical books, that I've read this week, I read A French Affair by Jennifer Bohnet. Thoroughly enjoyed this one, gave them some 4 out of 5. So we meet Belinda. Now Belinda helps run a trio of hotels and is basically the like the troubleshooter for the hotels. And she is asked to come in and see her bosses, who say to her, right, okay, we've just bought a new property in France, it's a campsite in Brittany, we want you to go over and get everything done so it can get up and running as quickly as possible. And they tell Belinda where it is, and she's like, oh no, I really don't want to go there, but she can't say no, she has to go. The campsite is about, say, 5-6 miles from where she grew up as a child. And in her last year of school, just after she finished her baccalaureate, her mother bundles her into the car and says, we are leaving for England. I'm not living with your father anymore. End of story. Belinda's never been back to Brittany, but when her mother died, she made her a promise that she would go and lay the ghosts to rest. That was 3 years previous to the start of this book. She hasn't been yet. So the story is of Belinda trying to get the campsite in a fit state for it to open. She has to deal with Alan, the grumpy campsite manager. It was like was grumpy. He was your sort of, grumpy Frenchman. But she lives for the first part of the story in an auberge, and which is run by an English lady called Fern, and so she makes friends with her, and she starts to make friends with other people within the village, etc. And it's the story. That's the story. It's the story of her. Oh dear, coming back to France. Can she lay the ghosts to rest? Can she find out the secrets of her family? Does she want to do it? And if so, how does she feel about it? It was really beautifully written, and I've never been to France. I've passed through France on the way to Austria, but I've never been to France. And I would, sort of reading books like this, think, well, I'd really like to go. It'd be nice to go and see some of France. So yeah, so I really enjoyed this one. And then I read I Wish It Could Be Christmas Every Day by Milly Jonhston. This one had me in tears, folks. This one at one point, which is so poignant, it was like, oh my goodness. So premise of the story is that there are 6 people, and they happen upon this pub in the middle of the Yorkshire moors during a really bad snowstorm. Now, the first couple we meet are Bridge and Luke. Now, Bridge and Luke are on their way to meet up to sign the start of their divorce proceedings. Okay? There is animosity between the two, and it's like, it is bickering, it is like slanging. They're really kind of not nice to each other. Bridge is the first one to arrive because the snow is so bad she's not going to get to where they were going from their meeting. So she finds this pub, but nobody's there. It's not open. There's nobody within the village. But it's basically she breaks in. She seems to be able to pick locks, does our Bridge. And she sort of gets in and she sends off a text to Luke saying, like, divert to here. So she's the first one to arrive, and that's fine. Next to arrive are Mary and Jack. Now, Jack is the CEO of this big company, and he was on his way to this posh hotel to do business with a Japanese gentleman. Road was blocked. They've had to come back, and they've found the pub. Mary is his PA. Mary loves Jack, but Jack is just too blind to see it. It's like, she's my PA, and sort of treats her in some ways like that. He just actually doesn't treat her very well. The final couple are Charlie and Robin, who are older gentlemen, and they were on their way to Avonmore for White Christmas. But obviously roads are blocked, they can't go, so they end up. So those are the 6 people that end up. Luke arrives as the last person. And they end up having to spend 3 or 4 nights together, I think it was 4, over Christmas. And it is the story of forming friendships. It is the story of realising that just because things have happened, it doesn't mean that it has to keep happening that way, or that you have to keep reacting to people in the way that you've been doing since times 0. It was beautifully written. It really was. The characters were so believable. The plot line was so believable. I really, really enjoyed it. And I gave it 4 out of 5 because there's a bit at the end, and I was like, oh, come on, really? That kind of, it was like, oh, that was a bit of, not a letdown, but I was like, yeah, right. So it was one of those books that, I can see people curling up with the open fire, with a fire going, Christmas tree going, hot, twinkling lights, just nice hot chocolate, wrapped in a blanket, snow falling outside. It's one of those Christmas books to immerse yourself in, and it also speaks about the real, the season of Christmas is not about all the trappings and the trimmings. There's just so much more to it than that, and it was a beautifully written book and one that I would definitely recommend. So the book that I am reading on my Kindle, that I'm 75% of the way through, is called A Poisonous Page. The author's name escapes me at present. It's an e-arc. I will tell you more about it when I do my review, but at the moment, yes, I am enjoying it. I like the fact that the town is called Confection, that the bookshop is called Sweet Fiction, and the book group are called the Macaroons. Need I say more? So I'm really enjoying that. And then the other book that I am reading, I am on what chapter am I on in this? Chapter 8 is Midnight in the Snow by Karen Swan. I don't know what I'm thinking about this at the moment, I have to say. I don't want to say much about it. I'd rather wait until I've finished it to sort of give you my full thoughts. I would hope that by the weekend I've finished this. I would think if I can get a good run at it, I would imagine that I will finish A Poisonous Page today, and then I can just concentrate on this one and get it read. If I do finish Midnight in the Snow, I think I will pick up my middle grade classic children's literature book group book for this month, which is Stuart Little. I have to the end of the month to read this, but I think I quite fancy, cleansing my palate on a middle grade sort of after all of this. But that's kind of my reading for the week, and what I'm going to be reading over the weekend. What else am I doing this weekend? I've got a few plans to celebrate. My birthday is in this month, and things are happening, so we're going to do a few things this weekend. There'll be rugby, I'm sure, to watch. But yeah, we'll go out and do a few things to celebrate getting another year older. But that's it, friends. Please let me know down below if you read any of the books that I have mentioned. What did you think of them? Or having me sort of chatted about them, do you fancy reading any of them? What have you been reading this week, and what are you planning to read this weekend, and do you have any plans? But until my next video, friends, stay safe and happy reading. Bye!